If you wear green, if you bleed for Broad Street, you'll remember this date forever. This wasn't just a procedural vote at the NFL owners' meetings in Minnesota. This was a referendum on one of the most polarizing, effective, and uniquely Philadelphia plays in the modern era. The Tush Push, and it survived. In a league allergic to innovation that doesn't come in quarterback-friendly packaging, the Eagles just won a battle against the establishment. This wasn't just about a 4th-and-1 sneak. This was about power football, leverage, brotherhood, and the right to impose your will. The proposal that fell short. The proposal needed 24 votes to pass. It got 22. A 22-10 final tally, ironically identical to the score from a past Eagles win over the Packers in the playoffs. But this victory came in a conference room instead of a football field, and it may prove just as meaningful. Many inside the league expected the play to be outlawed. Quiet conversations had already started about how Philadelphia would adapt without their signature move. But when it came time to vote, enough teams saw through the smoke. They didn't see danger, they saw dominance. The league blinked. The resistance to power. You want to face to this resistance. Start with Mark Murphy, Green Bay's president and a former safety in the league. No owner, no Jerry Jones flash, but Murphy was behind the movement, pushing a proposal that many believed targeted the Eagles specifically. And behind Murphy, coaches like Matt LaFleur, clearly tired of watching his defense get uprooted in the trenches, and quarterbacks like Jordan Love, who, if you believe the viral images, was brought to tears at practice after hearing the vote failed. Whether the photos are real or satire, the sentiment is not. The rest of the NFL feared this play, and now they'll have to prepare for it again. The architects of the push. There's a case to be made, maybe a serious one, that the Eagles should erect a statue outside Lincoln Financial Field. Not of a player, of the play. Nick Sirianni's offense didn't just use the Tush Push, they perfected it. From Jason Kelce's leverage, to Jalen Hurts' raw lower body strength, to the timing and aggression of the linemen and pushers behind, it became the closest thing to an automatic first down we've seen in years. They didn't break the rules, they broke expectations, and that's what made so many uncomfortable. Who voted to keep it? Who didn't? 10 teams voted in favor of keeping the Tush Push, including Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints, New York Jets, Tennessee Titans missing, the Indianapolis Colts and Arizona Cardinals, coached by Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, respectively, both former Eagles assistants. You'd think proximity to the innovation would breed loyalty. Instead, they stood on the other side. A subtle reminder, once you leave Philadelphia, you play by different rules. A fresh chapter in an old fight. This isn't just a win for the Eagles, it's a win for football, for the trenches, for everything that happens in the places cameras don't always focus on. The brotherly shove, the Tush Push, whatever you call it, survives because it works, because it's clean, because it's earned. This script you're hearing, it's new, not recycled highlights or tired debate. This is a lens you haven't looked through yet. A deeper story told with reverence for the game's physicality and for a city that built its identity on dominance in the dirt. The Eagles didn't just win a vote, they defended an identity, and they're just getting started. In the days leading up to the vote, Nick Sirianni said something pointed, something that should have echoed inside every owner's suite across the league. Jonathan Gannon, Kellen Moore, Shane Steichen, they're head coaches today because of the Tush Push. And yet, when the vote was cast, 2 of the 3 didn't stand behind the very play that helped build their reputations. Gannon and Steichen, former lieutenants under Sirianni in Philadelphia, stood silent. Their teams, the Cardinals and Colts, didn't support the motion to preserve the Tush Push. Only Kellen Moore, now with the New Orleans Saints, voted to keep it alive. It raises the question, in this league, how quickly do we forget where we came from? Kellen Moore, loyal to the craft. If you want to know what leadership looks like, look at Kellen Moore as Philadelphia's offensive coordinator. Moore helped guide one of the most versatile offenses in recent memory. Jalen Hurts played at an MVP level. Saquon Barkley, yes, that's Saquon, put together arguably the greatest single season by a running back in league history. Moore didn't just scheme around talent. He adapted. He leaned into the brutality and brilliance of the offensive line, of the sneak, of the push. In the NFC Championship game, the Eagles put up 55 points. In the Super Bowl, they bulldozed Kansas City. More was in his bag, creatively, tactically, emotionally. And when it came time to vote, he didn't flinch. The Tush push wasn't just a tool. It was part of the identity they built together. And Moore chose not to forget that. The league's sneak paradox. Let's get to the core of this. For all the outrage, all the pearl clutching over Philadelphia's unfair advantage, the truth is this: teams are overthinking short yardage situations, and the numbers prove it. Warren Sharp pointed out something brilliant in the days before the vote. On 4th and 1, 84% of quarterback sneaks convert, 66% of running back runs convert, 61% of pass plays convert. It's not complicated. The quarterback sneak works. It's the most efficient play in football. But here's the kicker. Over the last 3 years, across the entire league, only 227 sneaks were called on 4th and 1. Compare that to 619 pass attempts and running back runs. Want to know how many of those sneaks came from Philadelphia? Just 34. This isn't a play the Eagles spammed. It's a play they mastered and used sparingly, but with surgical efficiency. A glance at Green Bay's mirror. Let's talk about the Packers, the team that led the charge to outlaw the Tush push. Green Bay ranks 30th in 4th and 1 conversion rate over the last 3 years, just 55%. But when they do run a quarterback sneak, they convert at an 80% clip. So what's the problem? The problem is they're not calling the right plays. They're calling low percentage passes. They're handing the ball off from shotgun. They're getting too cute. That's not a scheme issue. That's a coaching issue. That's on Matt LaFleur. Instead of adjusting, instead of evolving, the Packers tried to legislate away a problem that could be solved with better decisions. That's not innovation. That's insecurity. The play that exposed the league. The Tush push didn't just move chains. It exposed the rest of the league. It exposed how many teams are scared of physical football, how many are unwilling to adapt, how many coaches would rather change the rules than change themselves. And it exposed just how underutilized the quarterback sneak really is. What Philadelphia did wasn't magic. It was mastery. And it should be studied, not stifled. This script is different. This isn't recycled outrage. This isn't a clip show. This is a new lens, something you haven't heard before. It's football told not through controversy, but through context. It's a look behind the curtain at what this play really means. To coaches, to players, to legacies. And it's only the second chapter. What started as football strategy has quickly turned into political theater. This wasn't just a few owners with bruised egos trying to scrub out a play they couldn't stop. According to Pro Football Talk and Mike Florio, the league office itself may have been pulling strings behind the scenes. Florio reported that the NFL asked the Green Bay Packers to propose the Tush push ban, not because Green Bay had some deep philosophical opposition to the play, but because the league needed someone to take the fall. According to a league source, the Packers simply took one for the team. It fits a growing pattern. When Lions president Rod Wood casually admitted that the league nudged Detroit into proposing new stadium seating rules, it opened the door to understanding how the NFL's rulemaking process really works. Not as democracy, but as orchestration. Green Bay, chosen or complicit. It never made sense for the Packers to lead this charge. They weren't embarrassed repeatedly by the Tush push last season. They lost to Philadelphia once, and the play wasn't the story of that game. The Packers weren't vocal about the rule when it emerged. They weren't even particularly invested in the result. But then Matt LaFleur started echoing opposition to the play publicly. The team submitted multiple proposals to ban it. Suddenly, Green Bay wasn't just involved. They were the face of the anti-Tush push movement. So what gives? If the league did indeed ask the Packers to lead this charge, it's worth asking whether LaFleur's vocal opposition was part of the strategy, or whether he genuinely believes the play should be removed. Either way, it doesn't look good. It looks like sour grapes, and it makes Week 10 against the Eagles in Lambeau Field look very interesting. You can imagine it now. 1st and 10. The Eagles march out in that signature wedge. The ball is snapped. Hurts surges forward behind the wall of humanity. First down, the very next play, same result again and again. A not-so-subtle reminder of who mastered this and who tried to erase it. Jason Kelce's final block. If the league pushed Green Bay, the Eagles countered with something more human. According to reports from Diana Rossini, Jason Kelce, yes, the recently retired All-Pro center, showed up alongside team owner Jeffrey Lurie at the NFL owners' meetings. And this wasn't just a victory lap, it was a mission. Sources inside the room told Rossini that Lurie made a passionate, emotional plea to keep the play alive. At times, it got crude. At times, desperate. One person described Lurie's speech as something out of a breakup movie, a man trying to convince his girlfriend not to leave him. That's how much the Tush push means to Philadelphia. It's not just a play, it's an identity, a symbol of the way they win. By being more prepared, more physical, more committed. And Kelce, the man who helped pioneer it with leverage, grit, and guile, showed up one more time to clear a path. This time in a suit, not a uniform. This isn't about football anymore. What's happening behind closed doors at these owners' meetings isn't about player safety. It's not about fairness. It's not even about rules. It's about control, image, politics. And in the middle of it, the Tush push has become a symbol. For the league office, it's an uncomfortable reminder that innovation can come from the ground up. For coaches like Matt LaFleur, it's a painful admission that someone else figured it out first. For Philly, it's a crown jewel they refuse to surrender. And for the rest of us, it's a window into a league where winning the vote sometimes matters more than winning on the field. By the time Jeffrey Lurie stepped to the podium at the NFL owners' meeting, the votes were already lining up. The battle over the Tush push had turned from football debate to full-blown theater, and Lurie, usually reserved, wasn't holding back. One owner in the room described his speech with a metaphor only an owner who just hoisted a Lombardi trophy could get away with. It was, quote, like a wet dream for a teenage boy. Hyperbole? Sure, but also deeply revealing. That's how much this play means to Philadelphia. It's not just about inches and downs. It's about dominance, invention, and control. And as Lurie reminded the room, whatever happens here today, we'll walk out as winners. With Super Bowl rings, that was the point. Even if the league outlawed the play, even if the rest of the NFL voted it into extinction, the Eagles had already won on the scoreboard and in the blueprint they left behind. Jason Kelce, quiet strength, last push. Then came Jason Kelce. Unlike Lurie, he didn't speak with bombast or emotion. He didn't need to. Kelce has run the Tush push more than anyone alive. He is the play. He lived it every Sunday. And as he sat before the league's most powerful people, recently retired and already cemented as a future Hall of Famer, he didn't offer a defense. He offered a lesson. If I could run 60 Tush pushes a game, I'd come back. Kelce said with a wry smile. It was a vote about process more than what was right. He wasn't wrong. One source inside the room said it clearly. This wasn't about fairness or safety. This was about control. People don't like the NFL telling people how to vote, they added. And yet, NFL Chief Medical Officer Alan Sills wasn't even in the room. If this was a vote about health and safety, shouldn't the league's top medical voice have been present? That's the contradiction. That's the tell. Lurie breaks character. What makes Lurie's outburst so compelling isn't just the content, it's the context. This is not Jerry Jones holding court after every game, soaking up the spotlight. This isn't an owner who seeks microphones. Lurie is measured. He is quiet. He's a strategist, not a showman. But this time he spoke loudly, not with volume, but with conviction. He drew a line in the sand, and he made it clear. Banning the Tush push on flimsy logic and imaginary safety concerns wasn't going to happen without a fight. There are no proven injury risks, no real tempo issues. The pushback isn't grounded in science or data. It's grounded in frustration. The Eagles built something unanswerable, and now, rather than match it, some teams want to legislate it out of existence. Lurie wasn't having it. Neither was Kelce. No one likes us. We don't care. That's been the Eagles' mantra since long before the Tush push, but never has it felt more fitting. The Eagles didn't flinch when the play was challenged. They didn't retreat when whispers turned to league proposals. Instead, they brought their best player, their most trusted voices, and their most passionate argument. This wasn't about 1 yard. It was about legacy. It was about proving that being better at football shouldn't be a crime. The Eagles stood tall, and whether the rest of the league likes it or not, they're still standing.